The 33rd year of Halloween Horror Nights has now passed us, leaving behind brand new pieces of lore to include into this unofficial timeline. If you haven't done so, I highly recommend watching the first lore timeline video to understand the full story before watching this one. This video merely serves as an addition to that first video. You can also read the full lore on Wattpad and Neobook, link down in the description. Now, here's the lore of HHN 33. Going back to somewhere between the 1900s through the 1930s, a young boy named Walter E. Sweets, who grew up in the town of Hollow Hills, was being bullied relentlessly by other kids in the town, so much so that it affected his personal life as he was growing up in the local theater owned by his parents, the Tribute Tribune. He would eventually befriend a girl who worked with him at the theater. They quickly became very close friends. One evening, he would discover his parents murdered, presumably by a group of people of the town. He would never discover who it was, but it destroyed him mentally and damaged his reputation, as many in the town believed he was responsible for their deaths. Many articles started to come out about him and the theater, which continued to deteriorate his image. Until the theater was shut down, Walter would then run off into the night with his best friend. Decades later, in the mid-1950s, Walter E. Sweets, now a renowned candy maker, would return to Hollow Hills, rebranded as Major Sweets, alongside his childhood best friend and partner in crime, now known as Miss Treats. They would enact a sinister revenge plan on the whole town, decades in the making. In 1954, in the town of Hollow Hills, the mayor throws an annual Halloween party parade, sponsored by a candy company owned by Major Sweets. Before the parade began, Major Sweets would open his factory for tours for some of the Progress County schools, in an effort to have many of the visiting kids to try out samples of his latest candy concoctions that he would then use to possess the children into turning on their chaperones and having many of them help create havoc on the Halloween parade later that night. The samples would prove a success as Taffy and Miss Treats would kill the chaperones. They would round up some of the children and destroy any sign of evidence before the parade began. It wouldn't take long after the start of the parade when the candy served at the event turned the kids into horrific killers, with Walter E. Sweets finally taking his revenge on the town. Jumping ahead now to the fall of 2024, 33 years of screams from Halloween Horror Nights guests have been collected and absorbed underneath the Universal Studios Florida, causing an evil overgrowth with a beating heart to form and start spreading to every crevice underneath the park, until it eventually ripped a tear between our world and the vast universe of horrors that exists beyond our own, a never-ending void in which fear derives from. Within that universe are two distinct realms, one fueled by physical pain, while the other is plagued by psychological torment. At the helm of these worlds are two entities, sinister and surreal, passing into our world through a sentient gate between both realities, known only as Otis. Sinister and surreal unleashed their terror on the guests of HHN 33, up until November, when they seemingly returned to their realms after each gaining power and support from the guests who joined them. It is currently unknown if that tear between realities has closed or if it remains open, waiting to unleash more terrifying entities in the future. In the same year, Jack the Clown and Chance reappeared in China, bringing Jack's newest version of his Carnival of Carnage, simply called Jack's Circus, to the guests of Universal Studios Beijing. As the guests entered the Twist Circus, they met a collection of freaky characters as they're taking on a behind-the-scenes backstage tour of the circus. After the event, Jack and Chance once again disappeared. Meanwhile, in New York City, the Museum of Antiquities would receive crates shipped in from both Cary, Ohio and Fathom Corp Company, who was responsible for the implosion of their crew who tried to escape parasitic creatures in 2019. An artifact of a mysterious bat-like creature and other artifacts started buzzing up controversy once whispers of a curse linked to them made its way to the ears of the public. Quickly, a protest formed in front of the museum, with many warning them of a bat monster that would soon inhabit the city. Over time, the city became plagued with various mysterious attacks. Countless reports of winged creature attacks sprouted. Mass amounts of foliage grew in every crime scene, almost as if it was the creature's calling card. Soon, this bat idol went missing from the museum as more panic brewed over the carnage. Eventually, the city became almost an apocalyptic hellscape as many residents took refuge in various shelters in fear of the creature that became known by some as Batilda. One of these shelters were attacked, resulting in a complete massacre by the creature. One former museum employee escaped into a service tunnel, which eventually led to a substation underneath the museum. There, they noticed the missing idol in the center of what appeared to be the nest of the creature, near a derailed subway train. They went to retrieve the idol in hopes of destroying it and expelling the creature from the city. As of now, the story doesn't have an official ending, and it is likely that Batilda was the same creature created by Oddfellow that escaped his shipyard years prior. While I was still editing this video, it was recently discovered that the bat idol has been discovered inside of Boris Schuster's office. And for now, that is all the notable new lore from HHN 33. If I missed anything or got something wrong, please comment down below and I will make appropriate updates to the lore books, as well as include them in my 2025 update video. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow my HHN specific pages by searching HHN_lore on X, Instagram, and Threads, as well as Sunshine Theme Parks on all of those platforms. You can also join my Discord, which will be linked below, where we can discuss HHN all year long. As a reminder, you can read the full timeline on both Wattpad and Neobook. Links in the description. I'll see you in the parks.